probability. Suppose you have an experiment. The experiment can be tossing a coin. In that experiment, you have some outcomes. Each experiment has some outcomes. For example, the outcome of this experiment is having a head or having a tail. When you have an experiment, you can collect all the outcomes and call it sample space. The sample space of an experiment is the collection of all possible outcomes. So in this case, when I ask you to write down the sample space, you can write down sample space is the set including head, including tail. So if I ask you what is the size of the sample space, you're going to say that, hey, the size is 2 because you only have 2 members. The size of the sample space is 2. So on the homework, on Canvas questions, on the quiz, on the exam, when I ask you what is the size, you're going to write down a number, a digit, not listing the sample space itself. We usually denote the sample space by S. Each one of these is considered a simple event. So the sample space is denoted by S. And we say that S is the set of A, comma B, comma C, and the rest of the events. A, B, C, these are all events. Event 1, event 2, event 3, and so on. So a sample space includes some events. For example, if I ask you what is the event here, you can say that the event A includes having a head. Event B is having a tail. Why it's important? Because it helps us to define the probability of an event. So the probability of an event is defined as P of that event, which is basically a fraction. On the numerator of the fraction, you have the size of the event or the cardinality of the event. On the denominator, you have the size of the sample space. We usually denote the size by n of that event, divided by n of sample space. So let's go back to our example, tossing a coin. Suppose I ask you to find the probability of event A, which is basically the probability of a head. We're going to say that, hey, based on the formula that we learned here, the probability of an event is the size of event head divided by the size of sample space S. How many heads do we have? We only have 1 head. So it's going to be 1 divided by what is the size of the sample space? We already know it is 2, or 50%, or 0.5 or 0.50. You can write it as 0.5. You can also write it as 0.5. All of these representing the probability of head.